So me and the believer, and the guy onto my left, I call him the Rock. Not like Dwayne Johnson, the Rock, but the Rock because it was dark. And he didn't speak much. He just like stood there and like stared at you or stared out through the window or like just stared. Didn't speak much. So I had the believer on one side and the Rock on the other side, trying to make conversation, helping the time pass, anything. So luckily for me, I'm a social guy, but it was a bit of an awkward situation for me, so I wasn't being that social. Not that I was being a dick or anything, I was just like keeping to myself. So luckily for me, the believer was a huge stalker. So he did it because right now we are pre-op, so we are not in any kind of fucking pain or anything. He was. So okay, so his story is that he's had a hernia for 6 years and didn't want to go through the fucking operation, so he just like got on with life and ignored it to till it started hurting, because that's what it does. At some point, it's gonna start fucking hurting, right? It becomes really uncomfortable and so on. So he was only there because it had started hurting after not after 6 years, but over the 6 years. So he thought it's time to kind of fucking do something about it. So he was next to me in the hospital bed, right? So he's a bit of a talker. So he was doing his little rounds, chatting up people, asking them what's going on, why they were there, what happened to them, and all that kind of stuff. And of course, he comes back to back next to me, and then he kind of tells me, okay, that guy over there is this, and this guy is that, and all that kind of stuff. And at the same time, we start talking to this elderly gentleman who's sitting next to this kid who's in front of me, who was the screamer. And we kind of find out what the deal was. So this is the screamer story. See, like I said, he's like a 24 to 26-year-old young guy. He was in a bike accident, which is a pretty bad bike accident, because the bike was completely fucked. And the bike caught fire while he was still stuck on the bike. I think the what's it called? The silence or whatever the fuck it was caught fire. He was stuck on the bike and his legs caught fire. His jeans or what he was wearing caught fire. It was stuck to his leg and the fucker was burning. Right? Unfortunately for him, what had happened was that since the bike was on fire and he was on fire, the assumption there was, from the father's point of view, was that people had been afraid to go up to him, thinking the bike was going to fucking explode. Right? Can you imagine that? He's on fire, fucking screaming, and no one was approaching him to help him or like pull him out of there, till some random woman who was there had kind of said, fuck this, need to pull this bugger out of this. So she has gone in, pulled him out off the bike and to safety. But at that point, he was really badly burned. I think in some places it's like, I think 3rd-degree level burns. I don't know enough about it, the whole burn subject, but he was pretty badly burned, which basically meant that every time they had to unwrap his legs, his wounds, wash him, which happened every 2 days, wash him, and then reapply whatever they apply, cover it all up, bandage him all up. He goes through this fucking screaming session till it is done, right? And this guy, the old elderly guy, is actually his father. So he had permission to kind of stay with him throughout, because he needed that help, because the orderlies and there weren't enough nurses to kind of sort those things out for him. So the father was there with him constantly, right by his bedside on a chair, helping him up, helping him to eat, do all these kinds of things. And from the looks of things, he was going to be there for a while. We were going to be there for like a day or two, and he was going to be there for possibly like a month, maybe more, I don't know. I mean, it looked pretty bad. I put I put up a picture of one of his legs, just so you can kind of see what it is. So that was one. That's a screamer. That is who the screamer is, and that was a screamer's story. And before we left, the morning that we were discharged on was the day that he got, because it was the second day, did change his dressings and do that whole number. And of course, wow, I mean, like, that boy is in some serious fucking pain. I feel so bad for him to go through that. And he was saying things like, "Komala, kීදනෙක් bicycle accident එනවාද? ඇයි මං විතරක් පිච්චුනේ?" You know, things like that. I mean, he was going through some shit. And of course, like I said, it was the day 2, so they had to go through the whole thing and start changing his dressings, take things off, cut off dead skin, you know, like. So I was right opposite, so we were just sitting there and kind of watching, thinking, I mean, it was hurting me just like looking at it. I don't even know what he was fucking going through. But of course, his father was there, his, I think, brother-in-law, someone was there, I think there were some other people. So I think they all turn up on that day in the morning just to help that whole process, because there isn't enough people in the hospital to kind of do that for one patient. So I think they have special permission, because otherwise you can't stay, right? Special permission to come and kind of help him out, help him through that whole fucking process till he's wrapped up nicely like a baby and left alone for 2 days again without that pain, right? So a little while later, the orderly comes around again and says, "Shave karada?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, I shaved. I don't want anyone here like touching my junk." Like, yeah, I came prepared. So like, and so took all of us back to the room from hell, uh, the examination room from hell, one by one. You walk in, put your fucking surround on and show him, say that you have shaved. He looks at me and goes, madi. I was like, oh, fuck. I shaved. So I thought I was prepared, but obviously I hadn't shaved enough. So he's like, nagin. I was like, not that fucking bed again. I was like, okay, so remember, I wanted this experience. So I was like, okay, shut the fuck up. Assume the position, get on the bed, and think someone comes flying off, rubs whatever the fuck it is. I'm watching him like, what are you gonna use on me? Like, what kind of fucking rays are you gonna use on me? And I'm like, So it is this little number. It's one of those sort of hardcore old school ones where you twist it and it opens up. You put the blade in to sit back close. One of those things. At least he was using a new razor blade, so I don't know. I don't know what I had done if he wasn't using it. Maybe that's a cheaper way to do it than having disposable full-on plastic razors, right? So anyway, then he proceeds to take whatever that he felt was not shaved enough off me. And all I could do is just like wait there, like thinking, what am I going through here, kind of thing. But it had to get done, right? So there's a number, it's like, hurry. At this point, like, he's shaved a few people, and the floor was also wet. There was water on the floor. It's a little muddy. So the examination room from hell was even worse by this point. I was laughing also in my head, thinking, okay, I just went through that. Get on with it. There's no way around it. Okay, put my pride back into my surround. And went back to my bed, waiting for them to come and say something else at some point.